Hey guys, what's up? It's Ryan over at Striker Kings, and today I'm going to bring you a quick guide in detail on Arcana. Now, I won't be covering level 1 and level 2 Arcana. This guide will just be applicable to level 3, and in particular it will be for attack damage carries. I know a lot of you have been asking for this kind of content. You're not quite sure what to use, so after this video hopefully you'll have a bit of a better idea and understanding about what you want to be building. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rome, and I'm a high rank player over on the EU servers. Not the best, but certainly I know a little bit about the game, and I'm going to share that with you. So let's jump straight in. So, when you first start the game, you get unlock Arcana at level 7. If you're like me, you know, you've had a bit of experience with MOBAs before, it's not so bad. You've got a rough idea about what to actually build. But a lot of players, they hit level 7 and they got a bit of gold and they're thinking to themselves, what do I actually build? How do I build Arcana? There's no tools, there's no resources on builds or guides or anything like that. So we're all kind of left in the dark. Now, there's 3 different options you can go down. You've got attack damage Arcana, you've got crit rate Arcana, and you've got attack speed Arcana. Of course, you can mix and match all of them. I'm just saying on a generalised basis, those are the 3 builds you want to be pooling your resources towards. Let's start with the first one. Now, when you hit level 7, this is what the first page you're probably going to see. It's the recommended Arcana, and what it will do is it will show the recommended rune setup for the hero you're using. So if I untick that, as you can see, for all of the marksmen, the Arcana setup is all the same. It's just a suggested guide for beginners. Now, if we have a look at the setup, what it's telling us to use, it's telling us to use the Blitz runes, the Assassinate runes, and the Skewer runes. Now, for the sake of saving us both a lot of time, me and the viewers, I'm going to just say right now, the Skewer runes, the green ones here on the far right hand side, they're going to be your staple. What I mean by that is, under no circumstances would I use anything else but them. You will always use them and they will always stay in the green slot. And they will be the full 10, as you can see, that I've got there. Now, I'll explain the reasoning for this. Obviously, you've got the attack damage there, scale times 10. That equals 9 attack damage, which is a fair amount for a green rune. And then you've got the armor pierce. A lot of people, you know, they're not too keen on the armor pierce. Me personally, I find as an ADC, and you know, in particular as Violet, what you'll find a lot of the time is in the laning phase, you're often against the tank, especially if you go to bottom lane. And if you haven't got that early armor pierce early on in the game, pretty much all you're doing is tickling the tank. I know it sounds funny, but that's pretty much what you're doing. You're not actually doing any damage, and all they're going to do is farm under turret and just laugh at you. And you're going to have to overextend and probably die trying to get some farm. So I keep those green runes there, all 10 of them, just to have a little bit more of an impact early on enemies that have higher defense, such as Ormar and Crest and Thane. Enemies like that. Add a little bit of kill pressure. Now, a lot of you have probably ended up building the attack speed and critical chance runes and the attack damage and movement speed runes. So let's go on to the attack speed first of all. Attack speed, to put it simply, in my opinion, is absolutely useless. Of course, early on in the game, your attacks are a little bit slower. You're not getting so much DPS because of a lack of attack speed. So in that respect, attack speed does help you out. But it doesn't scale later into the game, and come the 10, 11, 12 minute mark, or even before that, it's not really going to have much of an impact at the end of the day. Early on in the game, it's going to have even less of an impact, and it's not really helping you, you know, before you've got any items to win lane, win any kill pressure, or do anything of any impact to the game. You know, all it actually does, to be honest, is make your attacks a little bit less sticky, and your movements a little bit more fluid. Of course, you've got the critical chance there of 0.5%, you know, and if you scale that across, equals a 5% increase in critical chance, but it's nothing really, it's something that's left to be desired. And personally, I would stay clear of the attack speed route. But if you do want to go down that route, these are the runes you'd want to use. Is the Blitz level 3, and A equals a 1.6% attack speed bonus. So that scales over to the 16% across the 10 runes. But as you've probably got the gist of, I'm not a big fan of these. I've ran these before, all 10, and comparing those to other kind of setups, it really is the suboptimal setup. So I would stay clear of those, and if you've already built them, start building something else, which I'm going to tell you about now. So, having a look at my Arcana, what am I running? So as you can see, I've got a lot of attack damage, a little bit of crit, some armor pierce, some lifesteal, and some movement speed. So what I'm running in the reds, I'm running the Obliterate, which is the attack damage at 3.2, and that's a flat bonus, obviously at level 1. And I'm running 8 of those. I'm also running 2 1.6% crit runes. Now, a lot of people ask me why do I run 2 1.6% crit runes, and I'll be honest, the lack of attack damage, by substituting 2 slots, you lose out on the 6.2 attack damage. But I would rather have the ability to hit a crit than not hit a crit. Early on in the laning phase, landing those crits, even if it's just 2 or 3, can be the difference between a kill or a recall, or adding a little bit of pressure in lane that you might not have otherwise had. So me personally, I would always rather have the chance or potential to land a crit early on in the game than not land one at all. So I sacrifice a little bit of attack for that, but you're quite welcome to obviously include the full 10 AD runes. It's not the worst setup, this is just something unique that I've tailored and I found to work for me. Now obviously they give 3.2 bonus, and if you scale that across the 10 reds, that's 32 attack damage. But what does attack damage do? Why is it useful to you? I'll be honest, it's something that is probably the most useful stat early on in the game. If you've played MOBAs before, like me, League of Legends, Dota, games like that, you'll find that really winning the lane equals winning the game. And I don't just mean it in the sense that if you push the first tower, you end up, acing the enemy team and you walk away with the game. What I mean is having that early attack damage bonus compared to an enemy laner really does put the pressure on them. It forces them to play more passively. You're able to open up the map a lot more early on, make roams up faster because you're able to push your wave in faster. Now, if you compare it, say for example I'm running 10 flat AD runes, and we'll just use the reds for an example. So that's 32 attack damage at level 1. Now say we're facing an enemy Violet of the same level at level 1, and she is running 10 attack speed runes, giving her 16% attack speed and 5% crit. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that we're definitely going to have the advantage there, and as I'll show you later, if we scale that with our other runes and attack damage, it really is going to add a lot of bang to our buck. So I'll categorise these as a really strong early game based Arcana. If you want to be pushing up the lane, if you want to be snowballing, pushing a tower so you can make roams, pushing out the minion waves faster, and having a lot of extra zoning control and pressure in lane, then you want to be running the AD red runes. Of course you can add a little bit of crit, or maybe even 2 attack speed runes in the bottom there. Those really are what I would use to customise. If you're going to mix and match, you would want to use really like an 80-20 ratio of the runes you're wanting to use. Now, taking a look at the purple setup, obviously we're using attack damage and movement speed. The attack damage obviously is part of the entire attack damage Arcana setup, so the 1.6 is quite nice there, and the movement speed is obviously just added. A lot of people ask me about movement speed, and they've said it's useless. Movement speed is not useless. I'll explain something mathematically that I've obviously looked into. Every AD, apart from Fennec I believe, starts with a base stat of 340 movement speed. Compare that to an assassin, for an example, like Nakroth, who starts with 380 movement speed. Now, this is percentile. Percentile is always good because it means it scales. So, as you can see, I'm running 8 of these at the moment, which gives me 8%. So that 8% already scales with the 340 base movement speed that I've got at level 1. Not only that, it also scales with your boots. So when you get your tier 1 boots, and then you finish off your tier 2 boots, that percentage will obviously be added onto that kind of base movement speed that's been increased through the boots. Now, movement speed, what's it useful for? It's useful for a lot of things. For example, defense, playing evasively, being able to escape ganks, being able to chase down kills, being able to roam across the map in time, perhaps to save a tower or perhaps to push a tower. And it really does help with your split push potential. You can farm on the other side of the map, push the wave up, and be safe in the knowledge that you've got enough speed and manoeuvrability that if you were to get collapsed on by the enemy team, you would be able to get away because you're a lot faster than them. You know, it doesn't take a scientist to work that out. If you're a lot faster than your enemy, you're going to be able to outmaneuver them. Not only that, it also helps you with kiting, dodging out skill shots and juking. You know, if it's something that you might mechanically be sound with, juking skill shots, evading and chasing and knowing your limitations, then maybe movement speed isn't for you. Personally, I'm very comfortable with all of that, but I just find it makes it all easier. And as I said earlier, the green runes, the skewers, we obviously keep those the same. Those are our staple. We do not change those. I covered those a little bit earlier on. But if we add that up from one section, we've got a 3.2 flat attack damage boost there, and those are the obliterate runes. We've got a 1.6 attack damage bonus there from assassinate, and a 0.9 there from skewer. And we've obviously also got our secondary base stat on each of these two. And that pretty much covers the attack damage setup. It's something that I've taken a while to discover. I've not seen anyone using this kind of setup before, and I think it's probably important to mention I'm also running 2 lifesteal runes here, 1.6% each. I find that losing a little bit of attack damage, just like on here when I was using the 2 crits, I also used the 2 lifesteal. I find that losing a little bit of extra attack damage here is worth it. If you're running a full attack damage setup, the damage is going to scale with the lifesteal, and the amount of sustain you get in lane early on is going to be significantly higher. If you was, for example, running full attack speed runes, I really wouldn't recommend using any lifesteal runes whatsoever, because it's not going to give you much bang for your buck. But you can, of course, substitute out the attack damage and movement speed runes with the level 3 Reeve lifesteal runes, which are here, which obviously cost 2,000 each. I'm only running 2 of them. I've run the full lifesteal before. It's a nice stat. It scales later on into the game. As the game goes on, it's only going to increase based on the damage output. If you're not comfortable with winning lane early on and you want to play a bit more of a passive approach, then maybe the lifesteal runes are the way for you to go. But I wouldn't suggest running a full setup. I would only include a few of those into your purple segment. Now, what's the next setup that we can look at? It's critical chance, based on a different playstyle. So we've covered the attack speed, which is covered it, more like blown it out. It's not something I would recommend to be using. If you are happy to use it, maybe there's things you found out about it that I haven't, and feel free to let me know, and I'll take those opinions on board. But obviously we've looked at the attack damage, and that really is for early laning pressure, potential snowballing, zoning, and lane control. When we're looking at the critical chance it's quite weird the way it's built into the ADCs on this game. A lot of the times, especially with characters like Violet, for example, the later the game goes on, the more they become like an assassin. I'm sure you've all been in games 15-20 minutes long that if you get hit by the enemy violet, one or two shots, one combo, you're dead. The thing is with critical chance, you can run a full red setup on critical chance at 16% crit. Now, that's not really going to help you early on. It's not going to give you any kill pressure, it's not going to give you any extra attack damage to really harass the enemy or push them up or anything like that, and it's going to overall make your laning phase a lot less safer and less predictable, if that makes sense. You're much more likely to be pushed out by the enemy laner than you are push them in. But what they do is they scale very well into the late game. Once you've got your 2 or 3 items and you've got a bit of extra crit chance, it's not unusual to be up to around 55-60% crit by around the 8-9 minute mark. And what that means is obviously you're going to potentially hit a crit every 1 in 2 hits. So if you want to play your role in more of a assassin bursty type character role, then perhaps the critical chance is the way for you to go. I wouldn't use too few of these if you was going down this route. If you're going for the critical chance kind of option, you want to run full crit across the board on the reds. That's 16% crit. You include that with the crit items that you're usually going to build on an ADC, and you're looking at around 61% crit at a full build, which is pretty nice. You're guaranteed to crit most of the time, aren't you? You can, of course, substitute out the purple runes, the assassinates, with these tyrants, and they give you a critical chance of 0.5% and a max HP bonus of 60. And I have to credit the player Vex for letting me know about this from one of his videos. He kind of implemented the full crit kind of scheme before him. There wasn't really anyone that knew about it. But you'll obviously get 600 HP and 5% crit chance if you decide to use these instead of the Assassinate or Reaver runes. So if you keep those with the Blitz runes, times it by 10, not the Blitz runes, the Atrocity runes, you times it by 10, that's 21% critical chance with a max HP of 600. The max HP stat's quite nice. It's going to stop you getting chunked out early on, stop you perhaps getting one comboed or hit or dying from a dive. So it is a useful rune if you're going to run the full crit. Personally, I've not got any of them. I have run them all in the past, the full crit build. It does work nicely, but personally for me, I find that you want to have a more predictable, safe laning phase where you know you can push the enemy laner out. If you get to the 10-15 minute mark, you're severely behind in farm. You know, your team has been feeding, you've lost all of your towers. The critical chance runes are really going to have less of an impact. Don't you think it would be better to obviously have that safe insurance that you're going to even reach the late game? Because by all means, you might not even reach the late game, in which case the critical chance isn't going to be of much use to you. Now, if we look at it from an outside perspective, hang on a second, we'll go into here. There are obviously a lot of other runes you can obviously look into as well. You've got things such as attack damage and lifesteal, critical chance and critical damage, attack speed, max HP, armor, attack damage and armor pierce. There's a lot of different runes that are out there, but these are the kind of combinations that I found to work best. So to sum it up, you've got 3 different routes. You can either go down the attack damage route, full attack damage across all of the runes, so that's on the red, the purple and the green. Remember, the greens always staying the same. We can go the attack damage route while mix and matching a few unique individual runes to your playstyle, so whether that be a couple of crit runes, a couple of lifesteal runes, whatever it might be, a couple of attack speed runes. We can go down the full crit path, which is obviously going to make our character more of a type of bursty assassin role later on into the game, especially Violet, though it's going to be severely dependent on you having a good early game. or we can go the attack speed route, which, you know, is going to get you a lot more auto attacks off on a character that relies on auto attacks a little bit more, such as Vanheim. It might be more of a sensible option to run a few more attack speed runes, but on the most commonly played ADC, Violet, it's not something I would run at all, and that's even though you do get a cooldown reduction from your auto attacks. You're going to get enough attack speed as the game goes on to really implement what you need to be done. In terms of the mix and match runes, you're really going to have a little play around, see what you think you need in your laning phase, where you're struggling, where you're lacking, and really have a look around and see what you think is going to be the best ones to fit in. But these are what I run, and after spending some 250,000 gold, I feel like I've come up with the optimum setup. And what I'll do again, I'll bring you on to my Arcana page, just so that you can get a look of it. I've not really seen any unique like this before, but as I said, I tailor it to my playstyle, but hopefully you've got a bit more of an idea about what the Arcana do for your character, and base that on your playstyle and think to yourself, is that something I want to go down? Do I want to go left, right or forward? But I would stay clear of the attack speed. Now, I'll do some math for you quickly, just so you've got a few little facts to back it up before I get off. If you run in the full attack damage build, what you're looking at is around 77 attack damage at level 1. That's obviously including your 20 AD sword, if you're doing that as a first purchase buy at level 1, the 250 gold item. You're looking at around 77 attack damage, which is absolutely crazy. It's gonna absolutely hurt and sting your enemy laner. They're gonna feel it. They're gonna be thinking he must be glitching. If you're running the full kind of crit rate, you're looking at around 21% crit from just your runes, scaling into around the 71% crit mark later on into the game at around level 10. And if you run any attack speed runes, you're looking at around 16% with a 5% crit chance. I hope you got a bit more of an idea about what to use. If there's any more questions, do let me know. Make sure to leave a follow for more videos and let me know what you'd like a guide on next. Take care. Bye.